104 fever? That's because of your bad behavior. Anyway, I don't care about your fever. Can you come over right now? We have relatives coming, 15 of them. As my son's wife, you better host them properly. With a high fever clouding my consciousness, I heard Lucy, my mother-in-law, yelling over the phone. Unable to make a sound decision and fearing further anger, I shook off the doctor trying to stop me and headed to my in-laws' house. And by visiting my in-laws' house with my high fever, I inadvertently led to Lucy losing everything. I'm Ella, 23 years old. I married Jeffrey, an office worker, this spring. Jeffrey's job transfer led to his proposal, and I decided to move with him to his new location. Jeffrey had come from Denver to the city for college, then settled in Boston for work, but now we were heading to his hometown. Initially, there was talk of living together in my in-laws' house, but Jeffrey said,
"We're newlyweds, and I want us to have our time together."
So we opted for a close but separate living arrangement from the in-laws' house for the 2-year transfer. Jeffrey's hometown was a peaceful countryside, a stark contrast to my lifelong home in Boston. I was adjusting to its fresh air and the inconvenience of shopping, but still, my days were fulfilling. Fortunately, my job allowed remote work, so we managed our finances together. However, Lucy seemed displeased. Because I have work, when I declined her request citing work. She's a daughter-in-law and doesn't do housework. Her so-called job just lounging at home must be a lie. Not going to the office? What kind of work is that? She started accusing me with such remarks. Trying not to be disliked by Lucy, I began sacrificing sleep to keep up with work and her demands. Sometimes, I didn't notice her calls during a daytime nap, leading to more anger from her. She's definitely lying about working. While Jeffrey works hard, his wife just sleeps at home. Once at the in-laws' house with Jeffrey, Lucy remarked in front of him, "Ella often doesn't answer calls during the day. What does she do at home?" Jeffrey defended me, saying,
"Ella works from home. I don't know why you called, but please don't disturb her work."
At that time, Jeffrey once argued with Lucy. After that, in Jeffrey's presence, Lucy acted supportive. "You work hard every day. It must be tough following Jeffrey to such a rural place. Let me know if you need help." But she became sarcastic when he wasn't around or busy. I didn't consult Jeffrey to avoid troubling him or making him hear complaints about his mom. Lucy's tasks range from minor shopping to cleaning the in-laws' house, neighborhood, and an unused warehouse they owned. The in-laws' house was quite old, and cleaning it was a real chore. Moreover, Lucy wouldn't let me use any electrical appliances. Using electricity is a waste, so everything had to be done by hand. On top of that, there was no air conditioning. In the summer, the heat was unbearable, and in the winter, the cold plus chores like mopping with water felt like a form of training. On days when I wanted to use hot water, I would get scolded by Lucy, saying, "When I got married, things were much harder. I had to make my own rags and didn't have proper cleaning tools. I fulfill my duties as a wife like that, and yet all you do is complain? Can't you even clean properly?" Crushed by her words, all I could master was a meek, I'm sorry." All I could reply was one word. One day, following Lucy's instructions, I went shopping at a supermarket a little far away. It was a hot summer day since Lucy always said, "There is no place to park your car." I would go home first on shopping days, leave the car, and then walk to the in-laws' house. That day, after buying a lot of groceries, I went back home. Carrying several bags, I headed to the in-laws' house, about a 20-minute walk away. The summer heat and constant fatigue made me feel faint, and by the time I reached the in-laws' house, Lucy was out and the door was locked. When I called her, she didn't answer for a long time. "Don't call me so many times, I'm busy unlike you." And when she finally did, she yelled this at me. "I'm sorry, some of the groceries include meat, so I thought it would be better to put them in the fridge quickly." I explained. "Just wait there, I'll be back soon," she said, so I waited at the entrance, but Lucy never came back, and with a meet in mind, I left her a message and went back home. This angered Lucy. I was feeling unwell, so after storing the groceries in the fridge, I lay down in the bedroom. I was asleep when I was awakened by a loud knocking at the front door. "Ella, I know you're in there, come out." Lucy was shouting. Startled, I rushed to the front door. You! I told you to wait, didn't I? Why did you go home on your own? I'm sorry, I left a message, but it's hot outside and I thought the meat would spoil. Message? I'm too busy to look at my phone. Were you trying to steal the groceries I paid for? No, everything is stored in the fridge. Please take them with you. What? You expect me to carry the groceries? Who do you think you are? Unable to respond to Lucy's rant, I just kept apologizing. Then suddenly, I heard Jeffrey's voice.
Mom, what are you doing?
He had just come home. Jeffrey, I asked Ella to do the shopping, but she didn't bring anything back, so I thought something had happened and came here. Lucy's momentum waned with Jeffrey's arrival, but she glanced at me with a look that said, "Keep the story straight." A bit overwhelmed by the heat, I went home to rest. I thought I sent Lucy a message, but it seems it didn't go through properly. As I awkwardly tried to cover up, Jeffrey sighed deeply.
Mom, Ella said she has work, right? Why didn't you go shopping by yourself?
No, that's not it. There was a lot to buy today, and I offered to help after hearing that.
Well, I'll believe you, since Ella said so much, but you came all the way here and yelled at her, right? It's a nuisance to the neighbors, so please don't do it again.
Jeffrey said sternly to Lucy, and Lucy, in a small voice, muttered, "Sorry." That day, after Jeffrey drove Lucy and the luggage to his parents' house and returned, he asked,
Was everything really okay? Did anything unpleasant happen while I was gone?
I simply told him, no, everything's fine. And citing feeling unwell, I went to bed early. After that, for a while, there were no calls from Lucy, but as autumn passed, she started asking for my help again. This time, however, she didn't ask for cleaning, just shopping. Transporting things from our house to the in-laws' house was a hassle, but it was much easier compared to cleaning, which was a relief. But as winter deepened towards the end of the year, I was asked to clean again. Lucy mentioned it was for the New Year's big cleanup, since they had almost stopped cleaning after they stopped asking me. The unused rooms, attic, and storage of the in-laws' house were in a terrible state. I was called day after day enduring the cold and cleaning everything with cold water. Around this time, my work also became very busy, and I was getting less than 4 hours of sleep a day. After about a week of this, I caught a bad cold and developed a high fever right on New Year's Eve. After seeing Jeffrey off to work, I was about to head to the in-laws' house, but I collapsed on the spot with dizziness. I managed to call an ambulance with my phone and was rushed to the hospital. I was nearly diagnosed with pneumonia and had to be hospitalized immediately. When I woke up after receiving an IV drop, it was past noon. I jumped up and asked the nurse, who rushed over, "Where's my phone? Where is it?" I asked. The nurse, looking puzzled, handed me my phone. "Why didn't you come to the hospital before it got this bad? You were on the verge of pneumonia. Please rest for a while. Will you contact your family yourself?" she asked. Noting silently, I checked my phone and, as expected, found several missed calls from Lucy. When I called back in a hurry, Lucy answered immediately. "Where are you right now?" Surprised by her voice on the phone, I explained the situation. "I'm sorry, I seem to have caught a bad cold and am currently receiving treatment at the hospital. They said I'm on the verge of pneumonia and need to stay." "Hospitalized? It's just a cold, isn't it? Relatives are gathering at our house." "But I have a fever of 104 degrees. 104 degrees fever? That's because of your bad behavior. Anyway, your fever doesn't matter. Come here right now. Relatives are coming. 15 people. You're a daughter-in-law. You should properly host them." Lucy's shouting could be heard from the cell phone, and a nearby nurse frowned, but I, dazed, responded, "Sorry, I'll be right back," and hung up. "Do you know you need to be hospitalized? You're saying you'll be right back?" "But I have to go back. All the relatives are there, and as his wife, I can't be absent. Lucy will get mad." While saying this, I finished getting ready, shook off the nurses trying to stop me, and got into a taxi. Fortunately, some of the nurses, aware I was Jeffrey's wife and knowing the in-laws' house contact, sensing an emergency, allowed me to leave the hospital on the condition I would return later. Then I rushed home, changed clothes, and ran to the in-laws' house. At the in-laws' house, several relatives had already arrived, and I hurriedly greeted them. While talking with the relatives, Lucy came out of the kitchen and said, Sleeping in on a day like this? What a klutz. Smiling perhaps because of the relatives. Sorry, what should I do? I apologized to Lucy and tried to enter the kitchen. But a woman of Lucy's age in the relative group stopped me. Wait, you're all red. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just a bit of a cold. A cold? Coming to a gathering in that state, go home and rest. But I haven't finished cleaning or hosting everyone yet. That's right. She's our son's wife, so she needs to help out even if it's hard. Lucy said, entering the kitchen, leaving me surprised at my appearance. The woman spoke to me again. What if it gets worse? You might even spread it to others. Sorry, it's just a light cold. Come here. She pulled my hand and touched my forehead. You're burning up. How is this just a cold? Let go. I need to get ready or Lucy will... Lucy will what? Nothing. It's nothing. Okay, she can't hear us. You're worried about getting scolded by Lucy for not preparing? I nodded to her gentle question and answered, yes. Is Jeffrey aware of this? No, he's at work right now. Understood. I'll take care of it. Rest here, okay? Before I could reply, the woman reassured me and left the room. Frightened of Lucy's scolding and dazed, I kept thinking about how to apologize. Soon, a frantic Jeffrey burst into the room.
Ella, are you okay? Why didn't you say anything? We're going to the hospital.
But the hosting?
Who cares about that?
Jeffrey, seemingly upset but speaking gently, left me speechless with guilt.
You snuck out of the hospital? I didn't think it would come to this. I'm sorry for not noticing sooner.
In the car to the hospital, Jeffrey kept apologizing. After treatment and a day's hospitalization, I was discharged on the condition of rest. At home, I apologized to Lucy and asked Jeffrey to thank the woman who helped me. Reluctantly, Jeffrey agreed to go to the in-laws' house for a brief visit. Upon arrival, Lucy and the woman were waiting at the entrance. Happy New Year! I'm terribly sorry for all this trouble. I apologized to the two of them. Then the woman spoke up. There's no need for you to apologize. Rather, this person should. Ella, were you made to do the major cleaning of this house just because you are his son's wife? Yes. Were you doing it alone? Unable to speak the truth in front of Lucy, I fell silent.
Tell the truth.
Prompting Jeffrey to say this. I think I did the storage and attic cleaning alone. Lucy took care of the indoor cleaning. Alone in those cold, airless places? What about hot water for cleaning? I used cold water and carried it myself. Water? Yes, but I heard it was even harder in Lucy's time. I glanced at Lucy, who was looking away with a pale face. You know, I am this person's sister-in-law, and this is also my family home. In our house, we never made the wives from other families do such things. Men did the major end-of-year cleaning, and the women helped them, like carrying hot water for mopping, but to make Ella do all that? I'll need an explanation. With a stern face, the woman glared at Lucy, then turned back to us. Jeffrey, why didn't you protect your wife from being treated like this?
I'm truly sorry about that, Ella. You don't have to come to this house anymore. Ignore all calls from Mom.
Wait, Jeffrey, Ella is our family's wife. While you're in this area, she should get to know our ways.
Mom, I can't believe you would treat a woman like that. My wife, no less. I'm speechless with disgust.
It was for Ella's sake.
Ella married me, not this house. She didn't marry to do chores here. We're moving back to Boston in the spring. I hoped we could maintain a good relationship until then, but it's impossible. I won't come here anymore. If there's something important, contact me, not Ella.
But Jeffrey, to your own family home?
I'm ashamed to call this place home if my wife is treated like that. And thank you for everything. We'll be leaving now.
Following Jeffrey, I bowed and left. I rested over the new year and fully recovered. Later, Jeffrey told me what happened next. Afterwards, Lucy was scolded by the sister-in-law, Jeffrey's aunt, in front of the whole family. As punishment, she had to finish the cleaning I left, supervised by the aunt. Jeffrey's sister, furious about how her mother treated me, decided not to let her children see their grandmother. My friend in appearance when leaving the hospital spread the story of Lucy mistreating me, causing pneumonia. This story became well known locally. Gradually, Lucy seemed to become isolated. With Jeffrey's transfer ending, we returned to Boston. As a newlywed in a strange land, I was almost brainwashed into pleasing Lucy. Now, I can think clearly and regret not standing up for myself. Jeffrey says, we don't have to interact with them anymore, but maybe one day we can reconnect. However, after spending the first 2 years of our marriage being cautious around the in-laws' house, we plan to enjoy our time together for now.